Hello world, my name is Taurean Washington, visual artist of Creation Station. I'm here with Talking About Art, a new segment that we've started introducing and actually just where they're actually bringing themselves to us, telling us about their stories, artists of all different types. And here today, we're here with Mary Ryan Reeves. And I want to give you personally your flowers because I was your student in high school, and it's been a pleasure just like just what you brought to the table as an educator. And I know that's one facet of what yourself as an artist, and but just what you brought to me as an educator really changed my life. And I just want to thank you and welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and also we're here at Hood, and where you're also an alum.
Right, absolutely.
And class of 1970. And I just wanted to start this off. So my first question to you is, if we had a trailer of the Mary Ryan Reeves biopic, what images would be there? What would we see in your life?
Well, my first real job was I was a model in New York City in the garment district. Then I was at Hood, and Hood is an extremely vital part of my life. There used to be banners around Hood that said 4 life-changing years, and it's incredible how that impacted my life, which led me to teaching. And my other important aspect of my art would be mothering, and then creating art, drawing, creating textiles, home design, and cooking. And I'm sort of, I don't know, the Martha Stewart of Frederick. I don't know. I like a lot of versatility, and I enjoy a lot of anything that's creative is part of my life.
You've really been like, it's not only like, it's interesting, like you're also, some teachers, they teach and they don't do, but you not only have been teaching, but you've been a staple in the Maryland, like was worldwide, like what you've been doing. And so you've shown by example of your presence as an artist. And I think that's just amazing. It seems like you're on another run even after you finish teaching. So going to art, what about art drew you to it?
Well, I was really had a privileged childhood. My parents, we lived outside of New York City, and my mother was a devotee of let's go to a museum. If it's raining on a Sunday, we're into the city and we're going to the Met, we're going to the Guggenheim, we're going to the Frick, the Cloisters, anything where there was art. And I was also extremely fortunate that we took the grand tour and went to Europe, and so at 7 years old, I was through the Louvre and, saw all the really great masters. And so that has a huge impact on, where I was focus-wise with doing visual images or three-dimensional images, whatever. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, out of all you say, I'm kind of hating on you right now because you're at 7 years old going to the Louvre. I wish that was me. I'm like, but that's amazing. And so about also with that, if you had to pick, like you had to rank them in terms of your top 5, who are your top 5 artists of all time?
That's really a difficult question.
Or 5, just 5 that's really you're influenced by.
I'm more drawn to not specific artists, but more like specific periods in art. I love doing a lot of line work, and so it's like I take my influence from the Egyptians, and I like lettering, and so I'm drawn to medieval art and illustrated manuscripts. And but when I was here at Hood, I was very much influenced by the Washington color schools and Jasper Johns and abstract expressionism. So it's really hard to be specific. I'm drawn to Picasso because, again, he has a full range of things that are very realistic to things that are abstract, and I also really appreciate the political nature that he brought to art. And that's it. And then, of course, my really personal favorite artist is my son, Aaron Ayler, who's a local Frederick artist, and yeah. I get very proud of that, and amazing. I'm happy to have been his influence. So.
No, that's amazing. And I know for me, like, Picasso's definitely, like, he's always in the discussion, but I definitely do see, as I'm looking around at your work, and we'll get to actually Mary Ryan Reeves' work later, but we're seeing it all in the studio and behind us of her amazing work. And just like Picasso, I see that you you cover the whole gamut with what you're doing. You explore various mediums, and I'm excited for us to talk about that. So that goes into a segue into the next question is like, what would you define your style or styles as a creative?
I think that is definitely styles. I got my early start in Frederick doing a lot of pen and ink work of local historic, very realistic scenes of what was going, my first big job in Frederick was 12 scenes of the bicentennial Revolutionary War Frederick, which now, if you're lucky, you'll find them at a yard sale. But beautiful, the old buildings, and because Frederick is such a historic town. And I enjoyed doing pen and ink with that. And then at that time also, my son was a baby, and it was something I could pick up and put down. And so that's, pen and ink is something that I really am drawn to. And it's an interesting story. Well, we'll talk more, I guess, about when we get to talking about Claire McCardle. But having gone to Hood, and I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was here at Hood. And apparently, I exempted taking biology, and they put me in calculus. And so this is when they had requirements.
Oh, wow.
And then when it came to wanting to take a home economics class, I couldn't take it because I hadn't taken a science class. So I was really frustrated and went into education, which, again, 4 life-changing years and the best decision that I ever made as far as teaching.
Man, that's amazing. Okay, wow. So, and I guess too, like I see, like I'm seeing all these amazing works, and going to my next question. I know for me, like when I'm in the studio, I'd have my headphones. I'm blasting music. I might have certain even when I was at Hood, I remember getting some espresso beans, eating that. And so for you, like, in order to make these amazing works that we're seeing here and what we're about to talk about, what are your essentials? Like what is the survival kit, the artist survival kit for Mary Ryan Reeves in the studio?
Artist survival kit is a clean, tidy space. No clutter, no anything. One thing that I cannot live without, it's an electric pencil sharpener, which is kind of nutty. But I have a large table, 4x8 table, and one piece on that table, and that pretty much sums up my space. And again, depending on what media I'm using, my friend says, well, of course you want a clean space, you're obsessive compulsive. And I'm like, whatever I'm going to use, that's what I have close at hand. If I'm going to work in acrylics, they're laid out orderly. If I'm working watercolors, the same thing. But I like order, which again, I guess goes against a lot of art people. They say art people are kind of messy, but I'm not.
That's true, because I know sometimes, I guess I do see that there's some people, and some artists, like they need certain systems, a certain order, or how, like with their palettes, they're very systematic on like, hey, if I'm gonna do this one day, I gotta have all this laid out before I start.
Yes.
But some people do as they go, but some people they're like, no, I need to and especially if they make their pigments, it's like certain things they do. So that's interesting, and that kind of goes to what I'm saying. What's next is like, we all have quirks and things, but do you have any pet peeves as an artist? Like,
Yeah, actually, and I think this is the big pet peeve is usually when people go, oh, you're an artist. How about you draw this for me for free? And then the other pet peeve is like, I've spent 80 hours making something, and then someone says, oh, would you take $20 for it? I'm like, yes, because I want to have way less than minimum wage. I mean,
yes.
Granted, I feel I'm gifted, but on the other hand, I do things, and art, as much as you enjoy it, art is work.
Yes.
And you really always want to be appreciated, and when people want to lowball you or expect things to do for free, I think that's a huge peeve.
Yes.
So.
I think too is like, how do we really quantize art, or like how do we get like the value system? I think it's since by nature it's so subjective, Some people may not value art at all. Some people like really extremely value art.
Right.
So that's why there's people like, I'll pay you $20. That's somebody like, no, I'm buying $1 million on this. So it's like, it's so extreme. So how do we find a happy medium for all of us to kind of understand, or some sort of structure, some infrastructure on like just the monetary system that art has. But so down to this is the meat and potatoes. And I wanted to ask you about the products projects that you're most proud of. And we have a whole bunch of your work here in different ways. So I guess let's try to go with, well, I see we have this right here. Could you explain what this is right here, the high grass?
Well, again, it's like I do like working in pen and ink, and a former work colleague had seen my work, and he said, would you illustrate a book for me? So I did the cover for his book, The High Grass. It's a series of short stories, and then the interior has a lot of illustrations for each chapter and each story. Wow. So that was kind of fun. And he's a very prolific writer, and this was another book he did. And An
Ordinary Sedan?
Yeah, so I did a kind of a collage type of thing.
Okay.
And there's illustrations in that. And then that's a cover that's pen and ink and gouache, and because he's, how about some color? And then the first piece that I did is I ran into a high school classmate who wrote a book and said, could I illustrate his book? And it was Sarah and the Dragons, which is a book meant for young adults, but it's really a charming story. And
wow. Okay, let's pause really quick, because these are, if you're looking at, you would think that these are two separate artists.
Right.
This is not easy. So this is not easy the way that the nature of, because I'm seeing like, this is a little pen and ink in here as well.
Right.
And is this more like wash?
Right.
But like the nature of these and how your approaches are two different like ways.
I'm versatile.
That's amazing.
If nothing.
That's amazing.
I like to be highly versatile, and
yes.
I like to explore a lot of avenues of art. And
we have this right here. This is you too?
That's my during
wow.
Things snowballed in my retirement, where at Hood, when you have a reunion, you wear your class color. And a friend of mine said, oh, my class, they want to wear silly red hats or something. And I thought, oh, I hope my class doesn't want to do that, because we were yellow. So I'm also very influenced by, I can't think of the, Hermes. And so I was like, I'm going to make a scarf that looks like an Hermes scarf that encompasses all of my Hood events, the class color, the campus, the Hood logo.
Oh, wait a minute, the dink, is that the dink?
The dinks,
yes. Yes, okay.
So that became something I did for Hood, and then after I did the Hood scarf, I got involved with the Frederick Art Club, which is my pet organization, and they were building the Claire McCardle statue downtown. Awesome. And I did a scarf to honor Claire McCardle and raised money for the production of the statue.
Okay.
And so that got me involved with that. And
oh, wow. That's amazing.
That led to the art club doing a video promoting the statue, and a woman who lived in Long Island saw the video, and she said, I'm writing a book on Claire McCardle. And she said, would you illustrate it for me?
That's
and I'm
amazing.
like, sure, I would love to. So that was her book. And then we did a complimentary coloring book. There I am in the cover in a faux Claire McCardle outfit.
It's giving some Yayoi Kusama, like some little vibes with the infinity, the dots. Well, I see a little bit.
This is a copy that I made of a Claire McCardle dress that was called the T-square top. Oh. And so I painted,
so maybe she could have took some stuff from Claire.
I painted all.
Okay.
Claire McCardle was a huge influence. Wow. And then the same author decided to do a book about the first ladies and their needlework craft.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it goes back to this right here, the ladies first, common threads.
She said, what kind of cover can I do? And I said, well, we'll do this embroidery hoop. And so that's I've ventured into creating textile designs. And as I said, my son is an artist, and he's done several sculptures on Carroll Creek, and this is sort of a tribute to his design. That
was it the koi fish right here?
Yeah, so he did.
Okay,
he
that's
had
amazing.
And people dancing around.
Okay.
It's there by Idiom Brewery if you go downtown. So he says all these people. So again, my son and I are great collaborators, which is a wonderful part of being a mother and a teacher.
Shout out to your son. And what's your son's name again?
He is Aaron Ayler.
Aaron Ayler. Shout out to Aaron Ayler. And we have about 2-3 more questions. But are there any upcoming projects? Like, so these are works that have already been completed. But are there any upcoming projects that we should be on the lookout for that you're working on?
It's a carryover from a million years ago, where I became super intrigued with kimono images.
Wow.
And so I've been on and off working with kimono images, whether I actually sew them and draw on the material or do them as a two-dimensional project. So I'm doing my term paper on kimonos, and then I'm hoping to have a sufficient body of work that I can then make it into a coffee table book of kimonos. That it's going to be my pet project, and I've set my deadline as 2026.
Can I hold this real
Sure.
quick? I just have to, because I think, I know we're talking about art is very important. Like, I want to make sure, because this is an aesthetic that it's like you're adding to, but this is not easy either. Like, I just want to let people know, just the fact, you to think of, because this is gold leaf, and then even because you did this yourself, the calligraphy yourself?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And this is and that's origami?
Yes.
Okay. It's so many things that she's putting in here. It's really amazing that you can do this, and you're sewing. This almost has a printmaking, collage quality.
Right.
Also fabric work, sewing, illustration, painting, not only with pen and ink, but watercolor, acrylic. I mean, what don't you do? That's my thing. What don't you do?
I don't know. I wore this because I made this at Hood in my jewelry class at Hood College, 1968. Hello.
Oh my goodness.
And
wow.
I have my hand in as many different aspects of art as I possibly can.
You're really the definition of a Renaissance artist.
Well, no, that's really my son. My son's really the Renaissance artist.
Well, he gets it from something, right? So, but so 2 last questions. So, how can people, if they want to buy your work from your projects, do you have a website where people can follow you to get your work and be a patron for you? I'm
technologically challenged, and I do not have a website. I do have my works at Fine Art America, which, in the department of, making a small bundle, not happening, but they're out there, and I think that's important to be out there. And people more often than not just contact me, because through Facebook, messaging, that type of thing. But
okay, and one last question. If, let's say we have artists of today or future artists that are coming here, is there any advice that you would share with them? Any words of encouragement for the upcoming or emerging artists of today?
Well, as I always say kiddingly, I'm the goddess Nike, just do it. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't. You have to just do it, because you have a passion and you should follow your passions, and the rest will come out.
Man. Well, okay, so this is the end of talking about art. I just want to give a big shout out for our first ever guest of this show, Mary Ryan Reeves. I couldn't have ever thought of a better guest to have as the first episode. She just set up the whole feng shui of this whole thing in the studio, and then just the influence that you had on me. I wouldn't be the artist or creative. I wouldn't be that without you, and especially having you in a couple classes. But I think really what for me was the AP art class I had with you, and just how you are as an educator, the standards that you had. It wasn't wasn't like a cakewalk, but you were encouraging. Like you gave good, firm, constructive feedback, and I really appreciate that. And you were always just there for us. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and just thank you for just being you and setting the standard that you're doing.
Quite welcome. There's no better job than teaching in my book. I mean, it's, and my interview for Frederick County Public Schools in 1970, they went, well, so what do you want to have from teaching? And I said, well, if I can just get one kid to appreciate and enjoy art as much as I do, then I'll know I've been successful. So thanks to you, obviously I must have been successful. So thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you guys also for the Hood Studio, for having us, housing us here. And with that, it's talking about art. Thank you.